So it's a good day over here. How about you, Byron?
Same. Had a little scare earlier, but it's all good. Everything's all good and handled, so that's a good thing. But yeah, we got a jam-packed show for you tonight. We got the voice of Madden, also the voice of Fox Sports, does some NFL games, and he does ACC. I think what was it like ACC Big Ten as well. He did some of those games for ESPN and Big Ten. So Brandon Godin will be joining us in about 6 minutes time, and we got former Orioles and Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher who played with Cal. I can't wait to ask him about that, playing with a legend like him. Jeff Ballard on. So yeah, let's get right to it. I'm counting down, man. Friday, my birthday. We can't say it more than enough. It's here. It's here.
Yeah, I had my doubts, and I still think
same.
I'll believe it when I see it. But
briefly, there was a couple games on MLB Network. Did you watch a couple of those yesterday? I saw briefly that going on. So
no,
it's fun to just see it back.
Yeah, I heard there was some live, exhibition games on. So didn't see that. The Rays Tuesday, their exhibition game, their interleague game will be on. So that'd be exciting. I don't know the time, but I'll definitely be tuning in.
And the Rays did some moves too. I don't know if you saw it. They released a couple players. I heard they released minor league catcher Hermanson, and they released outfielder Lion Lamar. So they were granted their releases because they asked for them. So
yeah, they opted because you could do that as a former big league time, having big league time. You can opt out. So I didn't think Herman. He was more so the fourth catcher, maybe even fifth catcher. We have Roberto Hernandez.
He was, yeah.
Well, so he wasn't going to play much time. Kevin Smith, I think he's fighting with Perez for that backup spot right now.
What happened to the other one that always had problems? Is he still in the running, Shufo, or did we get rid of him finally? Is he still with us?
Shufo was released mid-season, and the Reds picked him up. I don't know if he's with the Reds still.
I know Casali is still with them. I kind of miss Casali.
Is Casali? Yeah, he's found some great success, or some success rather.
Yeah, one of the few Rays that has success when they leave a team.
Right. Well, Stephen Volt, would probably be one of the bigger ones. A catcher who, the Rays franchise never a great catcher. He was the one that got away.
He was. You can't say Jaso because Jaso really wasn't that good. You can't say Jaso.
Yeah, Jaso. Yeah, then he came back, and then of course we lost him. He got injured in the first game of that season in 2016.
Oh, you can't forget about Garza. He had stellar years after he left us too, with not only just the Cubs, but the Brewers as well.
Right.
So Garza was another one.
Yeah. I heard one that really didn't get much have much success, but his pockets, his wallet's pretty thick. Is Jake McGee?
Oh yeah,
he's on that big contract.
Yeah,
but they released him. I saw the Rockies.
Oh,
did
they finally release him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know in 2018, which unfortunately I'm watching since I have no choice but to pay for it. Since I paid for it to watch the Padre games back from 2018, 2 years ago. Yeah. That's when Jake McGee signed that huge deal with the Rockies. And they signed Brian Shaw. They signed
Yeah, they released him too.
Yeah, they signed 3 pitchers in 2018 for over $100 million. So, and those didn't turn out because they all were bad pitchers. It was Shaw, McGee, Rusin, which I think they're getting rid of too. I forget who else, but it signed a couple ones that didn't pan out. But yeah, same with I know I'm not I know I'm not an NBA fan. I know you aren't either, but that's coming up. We get NHL's coming up. All of this starting up at the same time. I mean, ESPN's going to be busy.
Well, they've had time to relax.
Ain't that the truth? But I mean, it's crazy. I never thought this would have happened. Like, I was just happy with them just foregoing the seasons all this rest of this year. Honestly, with all this going on, I mean,
happy with that?
I would have been happy with that. Yeah. I mean, we can't go. We can't go in the stands anyway. I mean, it's one thing to see it on TV, but it's much better to actually be there in person to watch it.
So you want them to forego the seasons?
Honestly, yeah. I mean,
where is this coming? This came out from left field. We've done this show for months, and you've never voiced any of that.
It's just I done a lot of thinking. I mean, it's since then I've just done a lot of thinking. I just don't think we really need to take time off. They already had the season. The NBA already had the season. The NHL was already practically done. NBA was practically done. MLB would have been halfway through. Actually, I don't mind MLB because they would have been just halfway through. You know, you get what I'm saying? NFL, I can see that's fine, but I mean, I don't know. Two of the sports I just don't see. I think they should have just gave up the championships to the teams that won it, you know, that had the most wins in NHL and NBA. I just don't think they should have. I don't. And I hate to say that because I'm a Lightning fan, but I mean.
But it's not that. It's not just, okay, so you think they sure gave the championship to the team that had the most wins?
Yeah.
Okay, that goes against everything you've said for months here, but okay, that's a weird flex.
It's just, I've done a lot of thinking on it. But, like, those two sports they just need to just call it quits because their seasons are starting up again real soon. So you're telling me you're going to have, with the NHL, you're going to have no off season. Literally, when you start up, you're going to have no off season. You're going to start right into preseason again and go right into the season. Yes, you've had time off, but I mean, hello, you're going to be consistently playing for months ahead. Say they start what? They start in August, correct? NHL starts in August, right?
NHL would start October?
No. I'm talking about the restart.
Restart. August 3rd.
Okay. So then you got the postseason, which is around the time of when they would actually start their season. So then you would play, say, if they did that, no time off, then they'd be playing on into the... we have Brandon Godin calling us. Give me 1 second to answer that. Give me 1 second. Got him on the line. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Brandon. Welcome to the Sports Space Show. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Sorry I missed you there a little bit ago. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
So I actually drove to Dallas to see my family. I live in Atlanta, but I drove to Dallas and been able to see my nieces and nephews, babysitting them now. And yeah, so it's been nice to get out of quarantine and be able to see some family.
There you go. So
I hear a baby going there in somebody's place.
Yeah, that's my 9-month-year-old. Just turned 9 months.
Man. Yeah, you must be busy then.
Oh yeah, I am. We love her. So I want to jump right into it with the first question. I want to know, right off the bat, since you're the new play-by-play guy for Madden and been since 2016, I want to ask you, what would you rank yourself amongst the play-by-play guys in Madden history? Would you put yourself with them, like the Al Michaels, Jim Nantz, and Pat Summerall?
Oh gosh, those guys have accomplished a whole heck of a lot more than I have. I know that. When Madden reached out to me 4 years ago to interview producers that worked on the game, had heard my work and wanted to bring me in to audition as a dark horse candidate. I don't know who else they brought in, but I know that they brought in a lot of other nationally known broadcasters. And so after I auditioned, I thought the audition went well, but I didn't think too much of it just because I knew that Jim Nantz was stepping out and I thought they might bring in like a Joe Buck. But, I'm thankful that for whatever reason they liked my audition the best. And I've been very fortunate and thankful to be able to do it the last 4 seasons.
Hey, Brandon, this is Eric, co-host of the show. Thanks for joining us as well. So thank you. I want to ask you, what got you into broadcasting? As a you're well traveled and you've done really big things. So what got you into broadcasting?
Good to talk to you, Eric. I was growing up. I was infatuated with Braves baseball. So I'm 35. So when I was growing up in the early 90s in southern Indiana, you could either watch the Cubs baseball games on WGN or you could watch the Braves on TBS. Those were really your only 2 options because there just weren't as many games on back then as there are now. And I gravitated to the Braves because that's when they started getting really good in the early 90s. And I came down and watched the Braves in the 91 World Series against the Twins, Game 5. I'll always remember it. Braves won 14-5. And then, of course, they would lose that series in 7 games. But when I walked in, after that series, go home the next year and just watch all of the games, and I would listen to Skip Carey, Joe Sutton, or Don Sutton, Joe Simpson, and Pete Van Wieren, who were the announcers. And I found myself trying to mimic them while I played baseball in my yard and inside my house. And I don't know. I did that since I was 7 years old. I loved the art of broadcasting and I loved sports. And at some point I realized I wasn't good enough to be a professional baseball player or basketball player. So I said, well, I guess I'll try to talk about it for a living. And I've just sort of stuck with it ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember those days. It was like Cubs or Braves. That was really all we had to watch, even down here in Florida.
Yeah, that's all we had.
I want to ask you. I didn't plan on asking this question since we're talking about the Braves. Do you consider that '90s run a success? With 1 World Series.
It's funny. At the time, no, I didn't because I was a frustrated kid that they didn't win more. As I follow sports more now, and I realize how rare dynasties are and just how hard it is to sustain success. Of course, right now everybody thinks about the Patriots and what they've been able to pull off. But if you think about it in baseball, obviously the Yankees have had several runs over the last 100 years, but what the Braves did with 14 consecutive division titles, that's pretty astounding. Even to win just 1 World Series, I still call it an amazing feat. Not many people remember that in 1995 when the Braves won that World Series, it was a strike-shortened season of 144 games. So really the Braves have never won a World Series with a full 162-game regular season. So the main reason I wanted them to win another one was because I always, in my mind, there was a little bit of an asterisk next to that season. But just don't tell that to the Atlanta Braves because they certainly didn't feel that way.
So now this leads me to since my next question. Because I see you also did games for Big Ten Network, Fox, and you did for some.
Oh gosh, there were. I would say the most memorable ending. It's probably not a game that most people remember, but it was Florida State and Georgia Tech. And it was a really meaningful game for Florida State. It was in 2015 because Florida State was having a good year. They were having hopes of going to the playoff. Georgia Tech was having a terrible season. It was late in the year, and there was a field goal attempt by Florida State with 2 seconds left to try to win the game. And the kicker, Roberto Aguayo, got the kick blocked. It was a 56-yarder, and Georgia Tech picked it up and ran it in the other end zone for a touchdown. It was in front of a packed house in Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. It was under the lights, and you could see the skyline of Atlanta. It was a beautiful evening. It was an amazing atmosphere, a really good game. And the act of the kick being blocked and the hype of Lance Austin was the name of the player who picked it up and ran it 80 yards the other way for a touchdown was the craziest finish. It was very, very much in craziness like that famous Auburn-Alabama kick six. Obviously, that one is a lot more famous because it was Auburn and Alabama, not Georgia Tech and Florida State. But the ending itself...
Bucks fans. That didn't turn out well.
I guess that's true. You guys are down in Tampa. Yeah, I know he did not work out so well. That was not a good draft pick.
No.
Yeah. So, I want to ask you...
Sorry, I apologize for bringing that up.
No, you're good. You're good.
No worries. I'm more of a Gator fan myself, so it was kind of music to my ears, so it's okay. I want to ask you, I've always been enamored by Butler basketball. I know you're a Butler guy. What kind of tell me that program and how they've gotten so successful being such a small school and making the Final Four not too long ago.
Yeah, what was crazy is that I went to school there. I was there from 02 to 06. And when I went to school there, nobody outside of the Midwest knew about Butler. Butler did not. Butler played in the Horizon League at the time. You could, as a student, walk up to the games at halftime and get a second or third row seat in the student section, and there were probably 4,000 people in Hinkle Fieldhouse. When Butler went to the Sweet 16 while I was in school, they started to become a little bit more known. And then, obviously, when Brad Stevens took the game, but give Butler credit for going back to a second Final Four, and not only that, but then getting themselves into the Big East and really now being not a basketball power, but they are on a level where they're just, everybody knows who Butler is. But I think some people just don't realize and maybe take for granted that 15 years ago that wasn't the case at all. That now Hinkle Fieldhouse sells out every game, and like I said, when I was a student there, some people within Indianapolis couldn't even find Hinkle Fieldhouse on a map. So it's crazy how much the program has changed. I'll tell you what it's done as an alum. It has helped out the value of a Butler degree immensely. I mean, the quality of student that goes there, I probably wouldn't even get in there anymore. The applications are through the roof. They're getting a much more diverse and a smarter student. So it's really helped out the entire university as a whole. You phrase the question as, how did they do it? I got to be honest, it's a mixture of luck and hard work, I would say. There's when you go on tournament runs like that, there's always going to be a little bit of luck mixed in, and then you get a once-in-a-lifetime coach like Brad Stevens. You get a lottery pick in Gordon Hayward, and all the stars align, and it's kind of been neat to see how that's worked out for Butler.
So
it's been awesome, and I've kind of always recently rooted for them.
Play voice for Matt, and I gotta ask you about the quarterbacks of today's NFL. Where would you rank Patrick Mahomes amongst all-time greats?
Well, I don't know about all-time greats just because he hasn't been in the league very long. I mean, certainly right now, if you're going to say all time and who's the best in the game, it's Brady. Now, if you're going to say right now you could start a new franchise with a quarterback in their current situation, well, I would take Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Tom Brady, and getting into his mid-40s, doesn't have it as much anymore. I think Patrick Mahomes right now has the brightest future, probably with an edge over Lamar Jackson. But we'll see how that trends. I mean, I think Lamar Jackson doesn't get as much pub as Patrick Mahomes, but I think the package that he offers and his competitiveness, I think those are, you might as well call them 1 and 1A as far as young quarterbacks go in the game right now. All time, Tom Brady, the numbers kind of stand for themselves. What he's done is just unbelievable, and the number of rings that he has amassed is staggering. But I always thought that Peyton Manning, well, obviously not the most athletic quarterback of all time, I think you could argue that he was the smartest quarterback that we have seen, at least while I've been on this earth. The way that he studied the game and had to beat you with his brain and new coverages, I think was, again, I'm just going in my lifetime, is probably as good as I have seen. Now, I'm not saying that he overall is the better quarterback than Tom Brady. I'm saying that I was impressed with what he did with what he had and had around him, as much as I have been with any quarterback.
That's true. So then I gotta ask you before we let you go then about that. Then with the mobile quarterback running rampant right now through the NFL, do you see the NFL going to just mobile quarterbacks and no longer the drop back quarterbacks like Manning and Brady and all that?
Well, we have certainly seen, it's no secret over the last however many years, a trend of, it always used to be that the college game would kind of steal things from the NFL game, but we have kind of seen a reversal of that trend to some degree, at least on the offensive side of the ball, of the NFL game is adopting more of that college game style, and some of the spread out principles, and like you're saying, more mobile quarterbacks, which I think is great. It's fun to watch. It makes it very, very exciting. I do think that you're just straight drop back quarterbacks of old. I'm not saying that they're going by the wayside, because there's always, I think, going to be a place for someone who can throw the football at an elite level, like a John Elway or a Dan Marino or a Joe Montana. Obviously, I mean, there's always going to be a spot for some guys like that. But I do think a skill set like a Lamar Jackson has, that is going to continue to be the trend, and that is where the offensive schemes, I think, are going to be more geared towards. Because when you have a quarterback like that and you can play that RPO game, it puts defenses in such a quandary. And I think the defenses in the NFL are going to have to continue to evolve as well to try to go against quarterbacks like that, because I really don't see that trend changing anytime soon.
And so we got a couple minutes left with you. I want to ask you, how well do you think Cam will be with Belichick? Do you think they'll clash, work? How do you think that's all going to play out?
I think it's going to play out well. I hope, for Cam Newton's sake, that he can get back to being the Cam of old. It's amazing how quick you can age in this league, the NFL, because it just seemed like, well, it was 5 years ago that he's, going for a Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden you get injuries, and it's almost like you're aging out of the game somewhat, and people are saying, can you do it anymore? I think if Cam stays healthy, which is a big if, I think if he stays healthy, absolutely he can have a tremendous amount of success. What I want to be careful in saying is I don't want to take away from Tom Brady. Like we said, it's hard to argue against him being the greatest ever at that position. But you also got to realize that Bill Belichick is arguably the greatest coach of all time. And I think that those two can survive without the other. And I think Belichick can survive without Brady. I think he's just a mind that can do that. And I think he's hungry to prove that. And Cam Newton is a very capable quarterback who I think will respect Bill Belichick and understand that he needs to play within his system. And I think Bill Belichick will understand that Cam Newton brings some things to the table that he can do that Tom Brady couldn't, especially in the last couple of years of Tom's career as he was getting older. So it'll be interesting to watch the relationship develop. I hope Cam has success because I think he deserves that. I want to see him get back to the Cam Newton level that was so electrifying and fun to watch. And I think that they will have a successful marriage together.
I hope you're right. I would like to see Cam come back because he was a good player. So, in one word, who wins the Super Bowl this year?
Oh man, well let's first say I hope we have a Super Bowl this year. everything is in total flux, and it's just so strange to imagine the season even going.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I think your easy favorite to peg is Kansas City. I could come up with a handful of teams that I think definitely are going to challenge them. I don't think Kansas City has, over a 50% chance of winning. That's certainly not the case. I would put their chance at probably, call it, 15 to 20%, but I would say that's a better percentage than any other team. But it's going to be, if the season goes, I think it's going to be a really good season. But I would probably, if you told me I had to pick one single team, I would probably give Kansas City again the edge this year.
Not a bad choice. But we appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule to come join us. We would like to have you on again when there is a season, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry that I was a little late in getting to the call here, but it's great to talk to you guys, and I appreciate you having me on. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday evening.
Same with you. And stay safe out there.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, guys.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. Insightful information from the great Brandon Gaden. Yeah, it's funny how you asked him about the broadcasting one. I was wondering if he would bring that up, that he got into it because of Chip Carey.
Yeah, and it's you get to do it somehow, right? Usually when you're young, you gravitate to something and you want to pursue that dream, and he's done that, and he's been really successful at it. So it's always nice to kind of hear those stories and success stories. So
well, yeah, considering the fact, like him, that's all we had to watch over here besides the national televised games.
I tell you, yeah, that brought, when he said that brought back some memories, because around the same age as he is, and yeah, it was Braves Cubs, and a lot of times the Cubs games was during the day, summer days. I remember jumping in my grandma's pool and watching some Cubs baseball.
Right,
during
I know.
The summer.
I remember those days. I mean, besides from when when the Rays came and we started with the Rays and the Marlins, but still, regardless, it was consistent all night. You had Braves on Turner, you had Cubs on WGN, and you had the national networks. I mean,
that was basically all you had.
Yeah, I mean, it was something. I did find it interesting, though, that he said the most memorable game he had was with Roberto Aguayo, or the disgrace of a kicker. Go figure, right? It'd be a Florida State game against Georgia Tech.
I don't exactly remember that game. Now, a diehard Florida State fan obviously will remember that. I don't. When he was describing, I'm like, I don't remember that game particularly, but that's why we asked that question, because you don't expect a cookie cutter response. I mean, they're there seeing all these games, broadcasting them. And
look at me. I'm a Florida State fan, and you know this. I don't even remember that game, and I remember a lot of Florida State games, but that one I did not remember. So I mean,
are you a Florida State fan now?
No, you knew I was a Florida State fan, Eric. Come on now. Yeah, I've told you this before. I've told you this. But yeah, are you ready for this next guest? Talk some current baseball?
Let's do it.
You ready? Alright, let's get Jeff Byron on the phone.
have reached the cell phone of Jeff Ballard. If you please leave your name and number, I will call you back as soon as I can. Thank you.
Well,
At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more
while we're waiting on
options.
him to call back, while we're waiting on him to call back, I gotta figure out how to get this screen. Okay. While we're waiting for him to call back, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward because my birthday, believe it or not, the Padres will actually be on TV, so I can't wait for that. They're going to be on FS1.
When's that?
Friday night. They're going to be on FS1. And then,
they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I believe Saturday, that Saturday the 25th, Fox is broadcasting games as well. The main Fox, they're broadcasting games as well. I don't know if the Rays are going to be on that or not. They haven't released who's going to be on it.
I don't think they are. They're not. They'll be on Fox Sports Sun.
They'll be on Fox Sports Sun? That confirmed?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain. I didn't hear any national TV with them.
Okay.
Against the Jays.
So yeah, what are you looking forward to with hockey starting up again at the beginning? Because training camp from now, by the time MLB starting, I think training camp's starting. So what are you looking forward to in the hockey season restarting up?
I think when it comes to Lightning, it's all about health. Honestly, Stamkos, I know he was injured, but he's now back on the ice. Seems like he will be ready come August 3rd. So I think for the Lightning in particular, it's all about health, and the talent is there. And can they get over the hump and win the cup? It's eluded them for almost. I mean, they've been really good for almost a decade.
Yeah,
you can say.
Yeah, and
they make playoffs almost every season. They just can't win it.
Do you like how they did the playoff format? I don't even know why they're doing the rest of the season, but they're planning on it. They're doing, I think, the last but they're doing like the NBA last 8 games, I believe it is, or something like that. I don't know why they're even finishing out the season. I thought they already had the seeds done. Do you like how they're doing the format?
I do like it. Yes, there's a lot of teams in the playoffs. But I think that's fair because it ended so short. So I kind of like how they're doing it, and the top 4 seeds are playing round robin to see who gets the top seed. I like that, and then the 5 through 12? 5 through 12 is kind of playing a series. Is that a best of 5 series, by the way?
Yeah, it starts off as best of 5 and then goes to best of 7.
So when they get to the actual first round of the playoffs, it is best of 7?
Yes. Yes. To it, yeah. You have besides from the Lightning, do you have a wild card team that might win it this year? I have one. Do you have one?
Wild card team that might win it. My opinion, I think it really comes down to Boston or Tampa. I really think those are the 2 clear favorites. You can't count out Pittsburgh. I think they're over the hump. Wild card team or the Capitals. I can't say I have one. Who's yours?
I'm gonna say, even though they're an aging team and they got rid of most of their veterans, I'm going to say the San Jose Sharks. It's going to come out of the Western Conference because they still have Evander Kane. They still have Patrick Marleau. Those two, they're aging, but they still can play. Plus, they got their young nucleus to help them, to help core. So I think they'll be a while. I like their goaltender. I can't think of the name right now, but I forgot.
And the Sharks are at team once or twice.
They did, yes. Yeah.
And they haven't been able to win it either recently.
Yeah. I like what they're accomplishing still.
Their style plays rough, tough. So yeah, sphere, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be. I don't know. That's what makes this season even more better. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, you have your favorites, but in any of the sports, honestly, you just don't know who could win it all. It's up for grabs. I mean, every stadium will be neutral pretty much, basically. Look at NFL with no fans. It's going to be neutral. Baseball, same thing, neutral. Basketball, neutral site. Hockey, neutral site. No fans. I mean, most of these teams feed on the fans. That's why they have home stadiums. I mean, it's definitely up for grabs in every sport. It's hard to pick. But, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait. So, yeah. The NFL is booming as well. I mean, there's been some talk that behind the scenes that the NFL will terminate Snyder's ownership. They're investigating it. They're investigating it to see what went on, but we all know how this is going to turn out with the NFL's investigations. We all know. Look at what happened with Ray Rice. Nothing really happened with him.
Well, he was out of the league. What are you talking about?
Yes, he's out of the league, but I mean, nothing after that. No, like, I mean, what did the NFL really do? Honestly,
and then no owner wanted to sign him.
Ban him?
So,
ban him?
What?
Ban him?
Like, he was essentially banned. I mean, if you want to use the word banned, but no team signed him. His career was over. Dunzo.
It's true, but I mean, you still had. I mean, most of these investigations that the NFL does is stupid anyway. Let the legal proceedings do it. Like, most of these investigations are. I mean.
But you have legal, and then you have the NFL as a.
So then just
just
get involved with that. Don't get into the legal purposes like they've done at times. They've stepped in on the Ray Rice one. They've stepped in on the who is it? Tyreek Hill. They've stepped in now on Antonio Brown. Like, just suspend. Like, just don't get involved in all that. Don't get involved in all that. Just suspend the dude and suspend the dude forever. How long? Don't conduct an investigation. Just suspend the dude. That's all you're supposed to do.
I think I'm not quite sure where you're going with this. Like, so they did an internal investigation, which they probably should have, but there was video evidence. There wasn't much investigation needed.
I understand that, but how are you not understanding my point where Roger Goodell, since he was a lawyer before he became this, he's trying to get into his lawyer background with all these investigations, suspensions, whatever. Dude, just be commissioner. Do a simple investigation. No legal action. Just a simple investigation, and suspend if they deserve it. That's it. And if they deserve legal trouble, let the lawyers handle that. What part of that don't you get that I'm trying to say? That the NFL and Roger Goodell try to freaking get involved in lawyer activities that they shouldn't be. Instead of just suspending the players. That, you know, you get what I'm trying to say.
I'm confused a little bit. Like, there was the legal proceedings, but then there was what the NFL had to do there. You know, every company will do an investigation of whatever misconduct. You would hope there's an investigation, a fair and just investigation, even from a company, as well as, you know, the government investigations, the state. So I don't quite know where you're going with that. He was essentially banned. I mean, they didn't use the B word, but no team wanted to sign him, and rightfully so, for what he did. That was inexcusable.
I know it was. That's what I'm saying. It was inexcusable. But Goodell being Goodell with the lawyer background, instead of just suspending him, which yes, he did suspend him, but it took a while to suspend him, did it not? There wasn't much evidence, like you said. There's video evidence. What more do you need to investigate? Just suspend the dude instead of doing the legal actions of what lawyers do. Do you get what I'm saying? All you had simple video, like you said. Right there, we saw the video of what happened. That's evidence right there. Just suspend him instead of, it took a while. How long did it take for them just to suspend him?
I couldn't tell you. That was so many years ago.
Exactly. So, and look what happened with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was the same way. They had video and even audio proof of what twice. They had video for the first time when his girlfriend / wife, whatever she was pregnant, and he hit her. There was video footage of that, and that took a while to suspend him. And then this latest one that he had a year or two or so ago, where he really threatened to kill her on the phone as audio, that was released. And it took the NFL God knows how many months, I don't remember how many months, but it took them a long time just to suspend the dude. I mean,
right.
So, and now with Antonio Brown, instead of suspending him, there's video and text proof of what he's done. So why investigate when you have the evidence in front of you? That's what I'm trying to point. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Why wait so long to suspend these guys?
Okay, so you want it to be quicker. Okay, maybe we can get behind that, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, they end up suspending the players. It ends up turning out to be probably the right action.
I just hope something like it gets done quicker than what they normally do, but that's just me. But yeah, have you watched any? Have you had a chance to watch any split squad games yet?
No, I haven't watched any full split squads yet. They haven't really been televised. Tuesdays will be. Blake Snell's going on the mound Tuesday. I guess I don't know if we talked about, but Charlie Morton's is the opening day starter.
I knew that one was coming.
What was interesting, he's never been an opening day starter. You believe that?
Yeah, actually.
His career, he's
honestly,
never opened.
I honestly didn't know that. I thought he would have at least for the Pirates. Oh, yeah.
I thought
our guest is calling. Hey Jeff, welcome to the Sports Space Show with Byron and Eric. Sorry we missed your call on Skype. Sorry about that. How are you doing tonight?
Sorry I'm late, man.
Sorry about that. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Got a busy house, so I didn't even hear the phone.
You're good. No worries. But yeah, let's hop right to it. You were 1985 round 7 pick by the Orioles. What was it like playing with Cal Ripken. What was he like as a teammate?
But he's a great teammate, and every pitch I threw for the Orioles, he was my shortstop. So I guess that best way to describe it was comforting. It was nice to know you had an anchor out there, short, fielding the balls for you, and the goal is always to get him to hit it to count, because he has good hands.
Awesome. Hey, Jeff, this is Eric, co-host of the show. Thanks for joining us. I kind of want to get into what was the way baseball is now to when you played. I take it you probably still follow the game. What's the biggest difference that you see now than when you played?
Well, I think it's a little bit, maybe not just a little bit, but quite a bit different game than when I played, I think. I would say that, now it's the pitchers are more, it seems to be a little bit more about strikeouts than maybe it used to be, and it also a little bit more about, the long ball than it used to be. And not that those weren't important parts of the game. Obviously, Nolan Ryan and Roger Clemens and those guys were all part of the time period I played, which are, big strikeout guys. And, I played with Canseco and McGuire, and those guys are big home run guys. But, these, it just seemed to me, and, it's not that I follow it super closely, but if I was, trying to pick the different, a little bit more ball-minded, a little bit more of the stealing and working runs and moving runners over than what you would maybe see in today's game.
Yeah.
Do you think with the analytics that goes on today is huge in the game? Do you think that could have helped you during your playing career? And was there any of that going on back when you played?
No, I don't think there's any analytics going on, and I'm not. I read Billy Bean's book, and it was really interesting to kind of see how that kind of all came about. But now, it's kind of my understanding that it's a big part of the game, big part of a lot of different organizations. And to me, there's probably a happy medium. I don't really think analytics is, in my mind, is something that I would hang my hat on 100% with regards to how I would, put a team together. And I don't know that's exactly what they're doing, but to me, there's a happy medium between, just your intuitiveness about how you look at a player and what he means to a team and how he fits in versus what numbers tell you. I think sometimes you have to see it, you have to understand what that player means. And there's some X factors, and I don't know, on analytics is a lot about numbers, but also I look at, kind of teammate, what kind of person is he, how does he gel in the clubhouse, all those things matter. And I think when you look over the course of time, you'll see, a lot of really good teams end up going on and winning a World Series, and you'll ask, well, what is the key factor for that team? And they're going to say chemistry. And I think you can point to some of the Yankees teams with Paul O'Neill and that stage in the late '90s. What did the Yankees have that was really good? Yeah, they had a lot of great players, but the chemistry was really strong. So.
Yeah. So I saw also that you were tied for 6th in '89 for the Cy Young vote behind with Eckersley and Olsen. Take us through that year. What made that so memorable, competing for the Cy Young that year?
Well, it certainly wasn't competing for the Cy Young. That ends up being kind of one of those results of how your season went when you're talked about in that group. The things that were amazing about the '89 team was the fact that after '88 the Orioles started off 0-21, which I wasn't a part of. I was down at AAA for that. It came up shortly after, but nonetheless, the Orioles '88 team was not very good, obviously, and we kind of revamped. The front office changed their. They'd had a mentality shift from the '87 to '88 team, and they tried to bring in a few people that were thinking more about just big arm pitchers, and we didn't have much team speed, thinking about power, and it just didn't work very well in '88. They were really bad, and then going into the '89 season, they kind of revamped in their thinking a little bit, and we were just a bunch of young rookies, really. We had Cal as the anchor, but if you look at that roster opening day, it's a bunch of no-name guys. And so, really, except for Cal. And we went and started off winning. We beat Roger Clemens on opening day, and that just kind of set the tone for the rest of the season. And we went on to have just a really great run, and all the way down to the end when we were facing Toronto at the end of the season. So, what's memorable about me, or what my thinking is of the '89 season was just how that team came together. And back to my point earlier about chemistry, that team gelled, and you got the momentum, and you started thinking you could win, and you went out every day, and you started showing that you could. And so it was just a lot of fun. And like I've told people about my career a lot is, I not only just at Major League Baseball, but back in college and even into the the Legion Baseball, which is what we have out here in Montana, is the high school type. Is that I was always a result of my teams. If my team was good, I pitched well and was a big part of the team's success. But I was never talented enough to, like a Randy Johnson or Roger Clemens, to just carry a team on my own and just go, well, don't worry, guys, I got it today. I always needed everybody's support. So when we had good momentum as a team and we had good defense behind me, I could be a very successful pitcher, which I was in '89. And so I really was reliant on the team's momentum in winning and losing games. So it was very memorable for me. It was one of those years, certainly, that was pretty incredible, winning 18 games, and certainly had plenty of shots to win 20. And who knows?
Awesome answer. What was it like playing in front of Baltimore fans? I know it's a great city. I think it's one of the more underrated cities in the country. What was that like, playing in front of those fans and in Baltimore?
Well, it was great. Oriole fans have always been, in my mind, great baseball fans, and that goes back to just their long history of being a strong organization back into the '60s. There's a guy from Billings who was kind of my mentor. His son and I became really good friends. His son, Jeff McNally, but Dave McNally, who and also one of the main, he and Andy Messersmith were the two guys to help bring on, the free agents. So, very well known in the baseball world. He's a Billings guy. And so, for me to go play for the Orioles, it was great to follow in his footsteps, and it certainly was an honor for me. But we already had a lot of fans of Billings, but getting to Baltimore and seeing how the fans reacted to the Orioles was great. And they stuck with us through a bad '88 and an '89, and they just had a blast. So my feelings of the fans in Baltimore is nothing but a positive thing, in that they stuck through the sin of the '87 and '88 teams, and then in '89 they were there rallying for this young, no-name team. And I think because of that, the '89 team has always been, kind of held a special spot in Oriole heart. So that makes it really special for me.
Right. Awesome. Kind of sticking with the theme of fans. This season, it's a shortening season, and there's no fans as of right now. No fans allowed in the stands. How do you think that's going to affect the play on the field? And will there be an effect?
Well, I think there will be. And the interesting thing is, I actually have an experience that would be something similar to what they'll go through this year. And in '89, in May, like the first started, I think I was 5-1, and Dave Young. No, that was the pitcher for the A's, I think. That was their Cy Young winner every year, or several years. Dave Stewart. He was 6-0 at the time. We got rained out on a Wednesday in Baltimore, and the easiest way to make it up was the next day, because we both had off days. But in order to get the teams out early enough to get to their road trips that were going on, we played at like 11 a.m. in the morning or something like that. And it wasn't a planned, business and special day. And so no one had work off. And so we literally played in nearly an empty stadium. And it was crazy. I pitched that game. And it was just goofy to sit there, because the few fans that were there, you could literally hear their conversations out of the mound. Hey, what'd you have for breakfast today, Bill? And that kind of stuff, which in a packed stadium, or even a stadium that has 20 or 30,000 people, you're not going to hear people's conversations. All you hear is this roar. So
right.
It's a completely different environment that they're going to play in this year, for sure. and one that, like I said, I have a little, one game experience in. But it's unfortunate, the whole COVID thing and what's gone on with sports is sad. But it's better to have some games and try to move forward than, I think, to just not have a season. So I think they'll adjust, and after they get used to it, they're going to be out there trying to beat each other up, and it'll be competitive. No question about it.
So then I gotta ask you, since you've been a part of bad Oriole teams and you've been a part of good, and you've seen good and you've seen bad Orioles, just like what they're going through today, what can the Orioles do to get out of their funk that they've been in as of late?
Well, if I knew that answer, they'd probably hire me as the GM, right?
That's true.
It's certainly a difficult time for the Orioles over the last several years. They just have not been able to put a product on the field that can compete in any meaningful way. They've had some really good individuals. They've had some really good players, but they have not been able to find that right chemistry on the field that allows that team to compete at the level that the Oriole fans are used to, them competing over the history of that organization. So, I really don't know. It's one of those things that can flip, quickly. It is really, it's really a challenging question, obviously, and I know that they're searching hard trying to find it. But gosh, I wish I knew. I'd send a letter in.
Oh, and so I also got to ask you this too. So I saw you were also voted by fans as one of the 50 best loved Orioles. So now I got to ask you this, since you were voted. What would you say would be one of your best Orioles that you've been around or that you've seen of the Orioles nowadays? Who would you say is your best loved Oriole?
I have to be honest with you. Being way out here in Billings, Montana, it's not one of those things I've been able to follow very closely. So I wouldn't even be able to give you who's my favorite Oriole in the last couple of years. That would be. I'd probably pull a name that didn't even play for him.
Okay, what about for when you played then? Can you name one from when you played?
When I played, and going back, I was always, and I've used it, as I've talked a lot in public, in various places, I've always talked about Cal. And, the thing about Cal Ripken to me is that one of the best teammates you could ever have, for sure. But what people don't see about Cal, at least when I played with him, was what goes on behind the scenes. And that this was in the middle of his streak. This was in, I was actually there when he had a consecutive inning streak going that was snapped by his father in Toronto at the end of 87, I think. But when his father was manager. And the thing is with Cal is that he never lived in a glass house. So, he went out on the field every day. He was there every day to take his batting practice. He took his grounders, and he'd go in the outfield, shake fly balls, and he'd run around out there like he did, and that enjoyed the game, trying to rob home runs. He never worried about getting hurt, and he never protected the streak. He just played the game to the level he knew he needed to play, and played as hard as you could. That's how he was raised, and that's what he believed in. And he never changed on his ethics with regards to playing the game hard. And I find that remarkable for what he did in his career, more so than just his ability and his talent. He just was crazy for how he could every day gear up and play at the level he played at. So from my perspective, definitely my favorite player, and certainly the one I respect the most. And, if I could model myself, and I look back at my career, I was like, God, I wish I could have been more like Cal and how he dedicated himself to being the best player he could be.
That's awesome. No, awesome answer. That's yeah. Thank you for that. Do you think that is the most unbreakable record in baseball right now?
I've been seeing some Facebook posts on a few pages that I'm involved in lately asking this question of which streak, the consecutive hit streak, the most hits that Pete Rose had, DiMaggio's 56 games, and the Cal Ripken's, consecutive game streak, the Nolan Ryan strikeouts. I mean, all these things are what drives baseball enthusiasts is to have this conversation. Barry Bonds home run, what is unbreakable? And I would say in what I've seen in today's world and how they manage their teams, I would say that Cal's is probably the most unreachable because they don't ever play guys anymore. No one already ever plays 360, or 162 games.
Yeah.
They're just, they don't because they have this investment. They're paying these guys $20 and $30 million a year. Their job as an organization is to keep that guy healthy.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to keep that guy playing when they want him to play as much as possible. So they're going to give him days off. So if I had to pick one, I would say that's probably the most difficult one for somebody to break. But 56 games in a row, hitting streak, people threaten it, but man,
this one's more unreachable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like the home runs by Bonds, I think someday that could be broken.
Oh yeah, that would be broken.
I used to think Babe Ruth was unbreakable, and then Hank Aaron's was unbreakable, but I think that those with longevity and guys who can't play, and they're more and more fit now. You can't play in your 40s if you take care of yourself and you have the good fortune of not being injured a lot. So I can envision how that's possible. Whether it happens or not, I don't know, but the consecutive game streak, I just don't know anybody will even give it a chance.
No.
If you are, you're
not even close.
Streak, and that's the one thing with Cal. That was never done for the streak. It was done because he was the best player, and he was there to play every day.
Yeah, not even close. That's never going to be broken.
Yeah.
I don't think the all-time hit, that one won't be broken. I don't think that'll be broken. But yeah. My last question to you is, before we let you go, you played in a ballpark-friendly park of Camden Yards. Did you honestly hate that being a pitcher? Because that is a hitter-friendly park, Camden Yards. So did you like pitching there, or did you hate it?
Yeah, well, I'll correct you. I actually left Baltimore after the 91 season, and Camden Yards opened in 92. But I did pitch at Memorial Stadium, which in my opinion was a hitter-friendly park. So not all that different than Camden Yards. There's other hitter-friendly parks that are difficult and challenging to pitch in. I would say like Wrigley when I was in the National League, the hitter-friendly. Fenway can be hitter-friendly with the big green monster. But I never minded throwing in those ballparks. If you make the right pitches, you can pitch it anywhere. And I just never, I pitched pretty well in Fenway. I pitched fine in Wrigley. I gave up some big home runs at Memorial Stadium, certainly really short. It was like 309. And so pop-ups that normally be caught in other fields are home runs at Memorial Stadium. So, it certainly challenged you at times. And there's other parts that you get away with, those pitches in, but kind of is what it is. You kind of just deal the hand that's given. You play the hand that you're dealt and move on and accordingly. I never thought too much about it. So.
Yeah, I
will tell you this, though. I will tell you this. This is one interesting tidbit. When in 91, I was a player rep for the Orioles, and HK Sports, I think was their name. They were the ones that were building Camden Yards. And so they had a meeting at Memorial Stadium, and they brought in a couple people, which I was one of them, just to talk about the ballpark itself from a player's perspective.
Oh, wow.
And I went in and I looked at the schematic for Camden Yards, and in dead center they had it 390. And I looked at it and I said, or maybe less, might have been 380. And I looked at it and I said, you can't have dead center field at 380 feet.
No.
Well, over here in the corner, it's really deep in left center. I said, I know that. That's fine. But dead center can't be 380.
No.
I said, if you can't move that wall back, paint 400 on it. You got it. It can't be that short. The fly balls that go out there that are normally out are going to be home runs.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they ended up with it exactly in dead center, but that was my, as a pitcher, as you can imagine me making that statement. I was very confident when they asked my opinion. I was like, no. You got to pay 400 on that thing in a minute.
That has by far be one of the funniest stories I've heard by far. That's crazy. that they would actually ask players for stadium input. Wow.
Yeah, they had. I can't remember who else was in there, but I know I was. So I don't know if they ever listened to me, but I certainly beat the table pretty hard when I saw the dimension.
Wow, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
So in one word, who has the advantage for this year in the 60-game season? What team you think? Real quick.
What team? Well, not the Orioles. So that much I know. So I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see how the Yankees do. Honestly, I think they beefed up, and if they're healthy, I'd say right now, I'm looking at them to be, with the additions that they've made this last winter, they certainly could be pretty strong.
Darn, I thought you were going to say your Orioles.
No, sorry, can't go there yet.
But we thank you here at the show for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us, and we hope when the season does start that we can have you on again.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sorry I'm late. I'll try to be more punctual next time.
No, you're good. It's all good. At least we had you on. That's the main thing.
All right, guys. You have a good night. Thanks.
You too. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Before we go, that was interesting, Eric. When did you ever hear about that? Like, people when they're building a stadium ask the players their input. I can kind of see
an input. They're not going to go listening exactly what they say, but I can see input. Yeah, I could see that happening.
You really see that happening with the new Ray Stadium? Come on, I don't see it happening. I don't see that.
Let's not talk about that right now.
Oh, sorry. Did I have a touchy subject right there?
No comment.
No comment. Okay. Well, okay. What about, say, the Padres then? Okay, would they go to the players if they wanted a new stadium, even though Petco's new?
I don't think Petco's going anywhere.
No, it's not. Thank goodness. So we don't have that issue. So, kudos. Go Petco. But I mean, Cal, I'm not amazed that he would pick as his best player. I'm not amazed by that. I mean, I saw that. I mean, who doesn't like Cal Ripken? Who doesn't?
Well, and what was interesting is he said that he played and he practiced. He didn't worry about not getting hurt. He just played,
right? And
he didn't worry about a streak or anything. That's a sign of greatness right there. And Cal Ripken is obviously period.
And as he said, when you asked him that question, what streak will be broken next? No, I mean that streak will never be broken. The all-time hits by Pete Rose, that won't ever be broken. And the single hit one all year, or what? Yeah, single hit one. The most games, the 156 by DiMaggio. Oh, 56. Sorry, 56. Yeah, that's not going to be broken either.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. Which one is the most unbreakable? I would say Cal Ripken.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Look, someone will have a streak. They have chances to get to 56 and beyond, but that's a tough one too. 56, especially with the shifts now and analytics, which cuts down on batting average. That one's
one game right now. That's the only one I can see.
Yeah,
and I can possibly see maybe a Trout breaking it, maybe, or a Judge or Aaron Judge maybe breaking it.
No, Judge, he started too old.
Then who do you see breaking it then?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who will break it. I'm not going to throw a name out there, but I see that being broken in our lifetime.
Okay, but out of the current, who could you possibly see? Out of the current players? I just named a few. So.
How old is Pete Alonso? In
his 20s.
Well, obviously, I know he's in his 20s, but
late 20s. Is he he's late 20s.
No, he's not late.
Yeah, he is. He's like 26. 25, 26.
Okay, well, he's not going to... you get a head start. You know,
It's definitely
Start it.
it's just before you shut off the show. Any final words on your end? I got none.
No, I got nothing. It was a good show, and we will hopefully we might have a special show Thursday, a little pregame MLB talk, which will be exciting. So hopefully that happens, and we'll talk to and see y'all then.
Definitely. Yeah, just stay safe out there. I will hit you up during the week and find out what he says, but we will hopefully have one on Thursday. Follow us on Facebook at Sports Space Show with Byron and Eric, our Facebook group and our Facebook page, our Twitter as well, Sports Space Show with Byron and Eric, Anchor as well. So yeah, just stay